Hello and welcome to Healthcare Finance Unit 5. In this unit, we will be discussing cost and capital investment decisions. The top 4 learning objectives for Unit 5 are: discuss the various types of long-term and short-term debt instruments and their features. Describe the role of financial analysis in healthcare capital investment decisions. Define the opportunity cost principle. And measure the financial return on an investment in both dollar and percentage terms. Now remember, these are the top 4 learning objectives which we will focus on this week. Other learning objectives which you are responsible for understanding can be found within the classroom page. Discuss the various types of long-term and short-term debt instruments and their features. Long-term debt is debt with maturity greater than 1 year. Long-term debt is commonly used to finance assets such as buildings and long-term use equipment. The 2 main forms of long-term debt used in healthcare are term loans and bonds. Short-term debt is debt with a maturity of a year or less. This type of debt is higher risk than long-term debt due to interest rates that can vary from year to year compared to a fixed rate on long-term debt, as well as a quick turnaround for repayment. Loans are not the only form of short-term debt, however. A line of credit may be a good choice for a healthcare entity needing a variable amount of cash to improve or sustain their business operations. With a credit line, the bank approves the healthcare entity to take up to a certain amount of money, paying a flat fee up front and interest only on the money actually borrowed. Of course, all funds must be repaid by the end of the term. Let's consider this scenario. Audrey is the practice manager for a busy dental practice. Audrey is in the process of hiring an additional dentist and 2 hygienists to support the demand for services. This means Audrey will also need to purchase equipment and furnishings for a new exam room and office. All of these purchases can be made from one company and billed as one transaction. What type of financing should Audrey choose? Long-term is Audrey's best bet. Since Audrey can lock in a low interest rate for payment terms of 5 years, long-term debt poses the least risk to the practice. Since the practice is profitable, it's possible a loan could be repaid within a year. However, that is a great risk to take, not knowing the productivity volume of the soon-to-be hired dentist and 2 hygienists. Describe the role of financial analysis in healthcare capital investment decisions. In both for-profit and not-for-profit entities, financial analysis of capital investment decisions is important to the entity's financial success. There are 4 basic steps to the analysis of capital investment decisions. Cash flow estimation, beginning, during, and at the end of the project. Project risk assessment. This includes performing calculations to determine the riskiness of cash flows. Cost of capital estimation. What is the aggregate risk of the business's assets? The corporate cost of capital may require adjustment to obtain the project cost of capital. And financial impact assessment. This means asking, is this project really worth it? In essence, calculating the financial merit of the project. Hint, break-even analysis here. Define the opportunity cost principle. Here we have 2 similar investment choices, both valued at around $5. A latte and a hamburger. If we choose to spend our $5 on the latte, we won't be able to spend that money on the hamburger and vice versa. So if we're tired and we really need some energy, we're going to choose the latte because the caffeine will give us the needed energy, and the hamburger would not be able to provide that benefit. In this scenario, the hamburger has an opportunity cost. Simply put, opportunity cost is the value of the opportunity lost. Measure the financial return on an investment in both dollar and percentage terms. Regardless of the industry sector, any investment must be profitable and provide a return. As a healthcare manager, you will be faced with many opportunities where you will need to evaluate the return on a particular investment. These investments may be small or large in size, but should be treated with the same thoughtful analysis and measurement to determine the benefit for your entity. Return on investment, or ROI, can be measured and expressed as either a dollar figure or percentage. Two methods for accomplishing this include net present value, NPV, where ROI is expressed in dollars, and internal rate of return, IRR, where ROI is expressed as a percentage. Net present value. While it's important to understand the mathematics of this calculation, technology can really streamline the process of determining NPV. One of the most common ways managers can utilize technology to obtain NPV is through Excel. As shown here, you can calculate NPV by entering the values for the project cost of capital and cash flows. Using the NPV formula function and entering the value ranges, your calculation is instantly computed. So what's the key takeaway for using NPV? An NPV of 0 indicates the project's cash flows are sufficient, not in excess, to move forward. An NPV greater than 0 indicates the project's cash flows are more than sufficient, allowing for excess funds to be reinvested back in the organization for nonprofit entities or distributed to shareholders for for-profit entities. If NPV is negative, the project should not be pursued and cannot generate a return on the initial investment. Internal rate of return measures the expected rate of return on an investment as a percentage. Just as NPV can be calculated in Excel, so can IRR. Shown here, we enter values for the project cost of capital and cash flows into the cells, just as we did to calculate NPV. Next, we input the IRR function and select the range of values to be calculated. The result is expressed as a percentage. It's now time to dive in and further explore the topics covered in Unit 5. Remember to complete the following. Watch supplemental videos. Complete assigned and suggested readings. And review discussion and assignment instructions. This concludes the presentation content for Unit 5.